So here we are. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I will introduce myself. I am Fiona Stevens, Marketing Director at Loyaltylion, and I am particularly excited to be hosting this webinar as there's nothing I love more than working with our CRM manager on our side to create marketing emails and journeys. So super interesting topic. I'm also a huge fan of both of our speakers today. I am joined by two superstars who between them know everything there is to know about the integration with Klaviyo and Loyaltylion. Now that it looks as though we've got a really good number of people online, let's find out who they are. You may have done this while I was offline, but we will repeat anyway. Michael, coming to you first, could you introduce yourself?
Perfect, thank you. Great to be here. So I'm Michael, a Senior Customer Success Manager at Klaviyo, and previously also worked as a CSM at Loyaltylion as well.
Fantastic. And Jason, over to you.
Perfect. Yeah, nice to be on one of these webinars again. I'm Jason. I'm in the onboarding team at Loyaltylion.
Fantastic. It's great to have both of you here. I'm also thrilled I get to wear my Britney Spears headset now, which is one of the highlights every time. So now we've gotten to know our experts, but before we get into the good stuff, we'd like to get to know all of you as well. So we are going to launch a very quick poll. Let us know when you see it come up. Are you currently using Loyaltylion, Klaviyo, or both platforms together? Hopefully a poll will launch and let's see. While that poll is open and we are gathering your responses, Jason and Michael, perhaps you could each tell us, why do you think loyalty emails perform so well?
Yeah, perfect. I think the reason that loyalty emails do so well is the level of personalization that you can have with them. Loyaltylion is especially good at passing data over to Klaviyo, and we'll look at this shortly, which allows you to really target your customers in a super effective way. I think a lot of brands out there just now know that the market is becoming far more competitive. So just constantly giving your customers discounts no longer seems to be a strategy that's working. So to be able to tailor your message to those customers with your loyalty emails has a fantastic impact on retention, which improves the customer lifetime value of your customers, and ultimately shortening that average time to second purchase as well. It's a really great strategy to follow up with customers and make sure we turn them from that one-time purchaser ultimately into a many-time purchaser.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Jason, anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, I mean, not much more I can add to that, but I mean, from the customer side, loyalty emails are the emails that customers do want to open, they do want to interact with, mainly because it's things that they themselves have, done or got involved with, or, part of the community. So it's very relevant information for them. And yeah, we see that performance translate into open rates, click-through rates, and then, hopefully the revenue from certain flows as well.
Absolutely. There's some crazy stats when you look at the open rates of a loyalty email versus many of the other marketing emails we send. The open rates are typically so much higher. It's great to see. Okay, I'm going to ask our fantastic backstage team to close that poll if possible. And then we will see how many people are using Klaviyo, Loyaltylion, and both together. Bear with us one moment. Hopefully that is okay. So fantastic news. 82% of the people online are actually using both Loyaltylion and Klaviyo together. We also have a few people using just Klaviyo, just Loyaltylion. So fantastic news. That gives everybody here a chance to hopefully improve the way they're using the integration even more, but also a few people who aren't using it to get started. So that is brilliant. Jason, Michael, perhaps you can bear those results in mind as you take us through the platforms as well. This is also a good time for me to just let you all know that we have another of our CS superstars, Hannah, in the chat. She is ready and waiting to answer any technical questions that you might have during the webinar. So don't hesitate to chat with her along the way. We should also have time for some audience questions at the end of the session. So feel free to use the Q&A or the chat function as well. Now, you've heard more than enough from me, or not heard, as the case may be, but I'm going to hand over to Michael first of all. Michael, can you kick us off with an overview of what kinds of loyalty data you can feed into Klaviyo from Loyaltylion and where in Klaviyo you can find them?
Yeah, perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen just now, and I can give us a walkthrough of this. Perfect. There we go. Can everyone see that okay? All good? Amazing. So I thought it would be best to start off first of all and just have a high level overview of the types of data that Loyaltylion actually passes through to Klaviyo, because there's a number of great data points here that we can use to segment our customers out to be able to target them more effectively, as I mentioned at the start of the conversation. So typical ones for those that use Loyaltylion and Klaviyo together will probably use on a daily basis are the number of points that a customer has to be able to segment your customer base. You'll also want to have a look at the number of rewards that those customers have claimed. If you run a tier system as well, that's a really great way to encourage customers to spend more with yourselves, work their way through up the tiers and hopefully unlock access to exclusive benefits such as early access to sales, or maybe new product launches as well, that you might want to give those really special customers a head start against some of the other customers that you're also marketing to. We can feed birthday data as well into Klaviyo from Loyaltylion to make those customers feel really special on their birthday. And referrals is a big one too. So it's great that we've got Loyaltylion for retention, but it's also important to focus on your acquisition channels as well. So how are you feeding new customers into your e-commerce store, and how can we continue to bring more and more people on board to start buying your products and really grow with you as a brand as well. So what I want to jump to now is just show you how that data typically feeds into Klaviyo and where you can find it. So if I jump to a typical customer profile, so I've picked Michael Gallagher here, my namesake almost. And what you can see on the left-hand side is there's a number of different properties that are feeding into Klaviyo here. So we've got the cities from where he's based in the United States. But if I scroll down to the bottom, we'll also see that Michael has 1,200 loyalty points. And is a member of the gold tier as well. So this gives us some really actionable data that we can then use to market to Michael to make sure that the campaigns we're sending out are really tailored and relevant to him to increase the likelihood of him going ahead and making not just one more purchase in future, but hopefully multiple purchases on top of that as well. What you can see on the right-hand side is actually a rundown of what Michael's been doing throughout his sort of Klaviyo journey and the Klaviyo platform. But the one thing I really wanted to point out was the loyalty metrics that you can see here. So on the 21st of July, we saw that Michael had loyalty points added to his account. And then that actually resulted in him being upgraded to, in this case, the gold tier here. So we can use all of that information to really create that tailored customer journey for Michael. And one way of doing that more generally across your customer base is using segmentation. So if I show you a typical sort of segment structure here, this is one that I've just pulled and created earlier. So I want to look at people who are signed up to my email marketing. But on top of that, I also want to only restrict this to people who have more than 300 loyalty points in their accounts at this moment in time, and they're members of the silver tier as well. So that allows me to have that segment to be able to craft a campaign, really effectively target those customers with whatever message I want to be sending out to them. So lots of great data is being passed into Klaviyo that we can then use to tailor and refine your segmentation strategy. Not only that, another great thing to do is use the Loyaltylion triggers to create a number of different flows. So I wanted to share a few of my favorites just now. So if we start with this one, which is really great. So within Klaviyo, those of you that are using Klaviyo already, you'll know that we've got the flow library there, that there's a number of pre-built templates that you can very quickly fire up a new flow to start sending out to customers. But what I've done is I've tailored this back in stock flow slightly. So I, as a brand, I've maybe run out of a certain product, but I want to notify my customers when that comes back in stock. And I've added a little conditional split in here so that if a customer is part of my top tier, which in this case is the gold tier, I am going to notify them, first of all, that this product is back in stock. So it's essentially giving them early access to the product that's come back in. And then everyone else who's maybe just not made the gold tier as of yet, they've got a 3-hour wait before it goes out to the general public. So this, again, can be one of the many benefits that you build into your tier structure, just to make sure that you're really treating those top-level customers well, and you're giving them access to those exclusive benefits and rewards that you've got there. Another great one is the tier approaching metric that we've got that we would pass through Loyaltylion to Klaviyo. So if I am a silver customer and I've almost made it to gold, we can set up a flow to just give that customer a little prompt to say, hey, you're almost a gold member. You should spend X amount more with us or earn X amount of more points in order to qualify for that gold membership. So that's got the great added bonus of increasing that customer lifetime value by getting them to spend more, but also still making those customers feel special, because it's as if you want them to get to the gold tier and have access to these things. If they need another excuse to want to progress up to the gold tier as well, you can maybe even follow up with an email afterwards just to let them know the types of perks that they might be getting here. So while they might have great benefits on silver, the ones that they have in gold should be even better than that. So that can be a great incentive to get them to upgrade their tier, hopefully. And finally as well, when I've got to that level and I am actually now a gold member or a member of your VIP club, whatever you want to call it, it's really important that you let customers know about the benefits that they get as being part of that tier. I think the thing that we find with loyalty programs, if we don't communicate to customers what they're actually getting from it, the value of it, it becomes slightly difficult to get them to engage. So the more you can go out and shout about the great benefits you have as part of your club, that's a fantastic way to create that community for your customers and really get them invested in your loyalty program and hopefully really participating in it moving forward as well. And again, I think there's a number of different benefits we can incorporate in here, the early access to sales, new product launches, maybe a free product on your birthday. Any type of experiential rewards makes customers feel special. And it's far, far better than just firing them with discounts constantly. So that's a quick overview of the many different ways we can actually be using that data.
That is a great introduction. Thanks, Michael. I'm absolutely crazy about the back in stock alert, I have to say. There's a couple of items I'm watching right now. They're both out of stock, and I'm so nervous that I'll miss them when they come back in and someone else will get them. So I absolutely love that example. Thank you so much. There's so much data available there, so easy to see how it works into flows as well. Speaking of which, over to you, Jason. I believe you're going to give us a whistle-stop tour of the loyalty emails and flows that you think are essential for every Shopify store.
Yeah, perfect. Apologies, cooked that a little bit early, but here we go. So I've got 3 flows that I want to go through, and what I'm going to try and do is potentially make them a little bit more advanced, some people would say complicated, as we go away. But I want to show you kind of the ways that we can use Loyaltylion data. And we can kind of enrich these flows, as well as making sure that you get the most important flows in there. So some context to that. The 3 flows that I'm going to show you are a welcome flow. So everyone needs to know what program they're in. We're going to do a post-purchase member sign-up flow. Again, we want to cast that net as wide as we can, try and get as many people in the loyalty program. And the last one I'll show you is a reward available flow. Now, the last 2 are going to be based on Loyaltylion metrics. Loyaltylion metrics are available on our Plus plan, but they can be added as an upgrade to our Classic and Advanced plans, to just let you know where all of this data comes from. So the first one I'm going to start with, I'm actually going to start with this segment before we go into that flow. And this is the segment that I would create. Very basic segment. It's just to get an idea of who is in the loyalty program. So what we're going to use is we're going to use a property in here. Again, Mike was showing all of the properties that we sent over. One of those is enroll date. Now, to be in the program, you have to have an enroll date. It's kind of one of those very, very key pieces of information. As soon as you get an account, that's what you're given. So I normally use this as kind of my on-off switch to be like, are you in or are you out? So in this case, I'm doing enroll date is set. Essentially, do you have an enroll date? What this letting me know is if you're in the program or you're not. So anyone in this segment is in my loyalty program. Now, the way we connect that to a flow is we use a segment trigger in here. So anybody that joins that segment will start kicking up this flow. Oh, that's apologies, 1 second.
It's not just me with technical issues.
Try to be prepared. Apologies. Getting that back in its place. Okay, so yeah. What we'll do is we've got a segment trigger up here. So when somebody joins that segment, this kickstarts the flow. Now, you normally get, when you do start join a program, so you create a Shopify account, you will get all of your, your usual Shopify emails, potentially the more transactional ones. So I normally put in a little bit of a wait period, and then you get your welcome to loyalty program email in there. So it's kind of separate there. So this is a good flow. Obviously, it lets people know exactly what's going to happen in the program, what your benefits are, and exactly like letting them know they're part of the club, essentially. Okay, so this is always a good one to start. Now, with segment-based triggers, or segment-based flows, rather, they only ever send once. So in this case, this is fantastic. Now we're moving more into the realm of metric triggers. Hopefully this one doesn't disappear either. But this is my post-purchase loyalty follow-up. And the metric trigger we're using here, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit for you. This is the metric trigger from Shopify for placed order in here. So it's actually using a Shopify one, in this case anyway. So what I typically do here is, again, I put in a little bit of a wait period. They're going to get the order confirmed, potentially some, shipping notification emails. So we want to make sure that the loyalty stuff comes in a little bit separately in there. Then I'm going to do a conditional split, and we've got our friend enroll date showing up again. And we're doing the opposite for this one. So we're going to do enroll date is not set. Okay. So what this is saying is if you've got an enroll date, that's fine. You're in the program. You don't need to be reminded about it. If you're not, then we're going to send you a little email being like, did you know we have a loyalty program? And obviously trying to get people in. Now, there is a setting in Loyaltylion in the make a purchase rule called historical purchase period. I normally recommend setting this to a month. And what this means is that any guest customer in the program, they have up to that amount of time to come back and make an account, and we'll give you the points for that purchase, for that guest purchase. So what we're saying in this email is we're saying, right, you could have earned points in your last purchase. If you come back and make an account, you can get those points. Okay. Then I'm going to do a little bit of a wait, and we're going to check, did that person actually sign up? So again, enroll date is not set. We're going to give them a little prompt, another little prompt, being like, hey, your points are still there, still waiting for you. Come back and make an account. Again, another week. We don't want to pepper them too much. We're going to do enroll date is not set. Now we're coming to the end of that period now. So what we can say in this one is we can flip the narrative a little bit. So rather than saying you're going to earn points, this is you're going to potentially lose some points. Okay, because after that period, they disappear. You kind of bit of a too slow there. So we're going to flip the narrative. We're going to try and get them on, get them onto the program, use a little bit of FOMO, be like, make an account before your points expire in there. So we've kind of got a couple of emails there. We're trying to get them in. And, having a good post-purchase loyalty follow-up means that, we can increase the number of members in the program. And obviously that goes towards your retention efforts as well. Okay. Now the last flow, I'm going to be a little bit coy about. I'm going to stay quite zoomed in on this one. This one's a little bit more advanced and kind of shows you a little bit more of what we can do. Now, this is the reward available flow. This is a very, very important flow. If you're using discounts, products, anything within Loyaltylion, then this is a really good flow to have. Essentially, what we're doing is this is the metric trigger. This is a Loyaltylion metric trigger. this one. This is the reward available one, and it basically pings to Klaviyo from Loyaltylion when somebody goes over the threshold of getting a reward. So saying, hey, this person gets a reward, we're going to wait a little bit to make sure it goes at the right time. Most of you guys will know when the right time people get their emails are, so we can adjust the wait periods for that. And then in this conditional split, we're going to go for points approved. So again, using a Loyaltylion property, we're going to go points approved is at least 500. So we're setting the lower bound there. We're going to go points approved is less than 1,000. So we're setting the higher bound there. So we know that anyone within that boundary has, in my case, in my setup, a $5 voucher in there. So I know when I send that email out, I know exactly how much that customer has. Then I'm going to, obviously, when we go into content and everything, you can do dynamic content. So you can put content in there that's, more appropriate for a $5 voucher. Then we go into, $10 voucher, make it more appropriate for that, kind of upsell a little bit. But in this branch, we're going to go little wait period. They've just bought, see if they bought again. And we're going to do another split here. And we're going to check, has somebody placed an order at least once since starting the flow? So right up at the top, it's been about 44 days in this case. Has somebody made an order? And are their points over 500 and less than 1,000? If yes, you've still got a $5 voucher, still waiting for you, still there. Then if it's no, we've got another one. Have you been active on the site? Like, have you been looking at something? Have you been browsing? And you can swap that out for, do they have something in their cart? Have they been in a abandoned checkout flow? That sort of thing. It doesn't have to be just active. But again, we're saying the same thing. Do you still have between 500 and 1,000? And if so, you still got that. Now, you can do as many branches as you have rewards, and you just change the points approved. So this next one, as we go across, do you have 1,000 to 1,500? And you can pretty much take that as far as you want. You can go essentially as horizontal as you want, and you can still go as vertical as you want with those. However, when somebody does spend their reward, or say if they they actually make a purchase, they go back to the top of the funnel as well. So this is pretty much, you set it up once and it'll just keep running and keep providing value. So big fan of metric triggers, and big fan of this particular flow as well.
Fantastic. So much there, so much to take in. I would love to just get logged in and start playing with it myself. It looks incredible. And I can, the way you can build it out horizontally, vertically, there's so much opportunity there, but the flow, the automation saves so much time at the same time. So thank you so much for that, Jason. That's kind of the building blocks, very manageable place to start. But before we move on, perhaps we could add a little bit of flavor for our more advanced Loyaltylion and Klaviyo users. Is there anything else that you think they should do once those emails and flows are set up? How would you recommend taking this one step further?
Yeah, perfect. I mean, first place I would go to is probably the content in here. So obviously this is my newsletter. Not a very good newsletter, but it's representative of a newsletter. Obviously, all of you guys are going to be much better than mine. But what I want to do is try and distract you from all the purple, is we're going to look at this particular block here. Now, best part of getting loyalty into your emails is to kind of get it available, to your customers, and some cases, particularly one in here, makes it a lot more accessible. So in this particular block, I've got 3 personalizations from Loyaltylion. You can add personalizations into your text by just going into the text block itself, clicking on add personalization, and anything that Loyaltylion sends over as a property, you will be able to see that as a personalization in Klaviyo. So it makes it super easy to add in. Now, with this, you have X amount of points ready to use. You are in the something tier, and this is your referral URL. Now, this last one, referral URL, this is really good for anyone who's focusing on referrals. It's much easier to go into the last email that you receive from a brand to get your referral URL and send it to your mates, rather than go on your phone, go to the website, log in, go to the loyalty page, all of that stuff. So it's much easier to have that, and having it available so easily is really going to help boost your referral efforts. Now, this is going to look really weird for somebody that is not in the loyalty program. Going to be like, I'm in a tier, I have points, and we don't really want them to see that. So what we're going to use is we're going to click on display, and we're going to use some show hide logic here. So the show hide logic I'm going to recommend is we're going to bring it back up again. It is the enroll date, and that's my on-off switch. So what we're doing here is we're going to say person lookup enroll date. Essentially, if you have an enroll date, this block will show. If you do not have an enroll date, this block will not show. And that way you don't have to juggle different versions of emails, like this one's a loyalty newsletter, like this one's for non-loyalty members. You just do it all in the same one, and then it changes depending on who it's sending to. So work smarter. So that's step one. Now, the next part, I'm going to go a little bit more into personalizations, but I want to show you a new cheeky flow as well. I'm going to kind of get that in there. So this is one that Michael showed before. This is the approaching tier upgrade one. Really good. You can do a little wait period, approaching tier upgrade, send out that email, letting them know, hey, you're so close to going into the new tier. This are all the things you could get. In the content for this one has some really cool, what we call event properties. And event properties are extra packets of information that we send over as part of the trigger in there. So this one, it looks really bad, but the event lookup next here in there, you put it in the preview, doesn't look like much, or in the builder, doesn't look like much. If we go into the preview, you can see all of the things on the right-hand side. These are all your event properties. And you can see one more purchase. It's all you need to jump up to the gold tier in there. So this is really good for letting somebody know, right, okay, you're really close. It doesn't matter what tier you're in. If you've got 3 tiers, 4 tiers, it'll always say the next one that you're going into. So again, you don't have to juggle multiple flows, multiple bits of content. You can just see it in there as well. So you can just make it dynamic. There is also another one here called earn spend required to upgrade. 2 different versions of that. There is spend required to upgrade and points required for upgrade. Now, you can add on a little bit of Klaviyo syntax in there. I believe it's called. Mike, you can let me know if that's right or wrong. It is available in the Loyaltylion Help Center. In there, the 2 different versions. One of them converts it from spend to cash, essentially makes it a little bit better. But how that looks in the preview, I believe this one was probably... see, it says earn just, and it actually brings in how much more they need to spend or how many points they need to earn in order to go to the next tier in there. So using event properties, really good. Now, you do have to be aware that not every metric shares the same event properties. So again, you wouldn't be able to use these ones in a reward available flow. They've all got their own in like different packets of data. So best place to get it is just go into preview and test and then grab the event property from the info in here. But tons you can add. If you really want to personalize your emails with a bit more dynamic information, that's the best place to go.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. I think a challenge for everybody, check out the show hide functionality and see what you can do with it. It looks like that's very popular in the chat. Thank you very much, Jason. Again, lots to take in there, but lots of exciting things to go and tackle. Michael, let's come back to you for the all-important question. We all need to know the answer to this in order to continue investing in tools like Loyaltylion and Klaviyo. Can you tell us, how do you report on the success of these emails and flows?
Yeah, so there's a number of different ways within the Klaviyo platform that you can do that. So I will just share my screen quickly again so that we can take a look at this. All righty. Here we go. So first and foremost, if you send out a loyalty related campaign to your customers, a great way to report on this is at the campaign level. So if you go into your campaign reporting, you've got lots of useful information here that you can look at and track. So you'll have the open rate, the click rate, your placed order rate, and also, most importantly, I think, the revenue associated with that campaign as well. So that would be looking at very specific one-off loyalty campaigns that you're sending out to customers. If you want to track performance overall, I definitely recommend taking a look at the dashboard functionality. So you would be able to create lots of different Klaviyo dashboards within the dashboard section that we have on offer. So you could look at particular flows and how they're performing in terms of revenue, their open rate, their click rate, whatever metrics you want to be able to track there. And you can also look at your most recent campaigns that you've been sending out as well, just to get an idea of the success metrics that are important to your brand, so that you know how well these emails are actually doing. But I think what's really interesting to have a look at is your loyalty segments and to report on how well they are actually doing for you as a brand. So what I've done is I've created this example here just now. I've just called it a VIP segment, but this definition for your segment could be anything. So it could be anyone who has got over 500 loyalty points, anyone who is sitting within the bronze tier at this moment in time, whatever you want it to be. And a really interesting thing to do is actually track that segment growth over time. So we've got the segment growth report, that I think a lot of people who use Klaviyo will be very familiar with. I'm not entirely sure why it switched to French. I'm having the technical issues now. There we go. We're back to English. But yeah, this gives you an overview of your segment size. You can see how it's evolved over all time. So you can see how many new members have been added, how many have dropped off within a set period of time. And that just allows you to see, okay, how many people are coming into my bronze segment, my gold segment, whatever it may be. Is this the sort of growth that I really want to be seeing on that front? And then we've also got our engagement report as well. So this is where we can look at the segment in terms of engagement. So you'll be able to see the open rate for this segment over the last 30 days, the click-through rate, the average order value, which I think is really important as well if you want to compare cohorts or groups of customers to see how that's performing. And then we've got some really good graphics here that you can be tracking as well in terms of your high engaged people, ones that are average in terms of engagement, your low to no engagement as well, just to get a really good understanding of how that is split across your customer base as well. But I think, yeah, dashboards are a fantastic way to start going about looking at splitting out your customers and really understanding their behavior from that perspective.
Amazing, thank you.
French, if you want to.
I think I'm going to start using the phrase average commitment for lots of things in life. It's a really good one. No, as a marketer, I have to answer questions around ROI all the time, and I love the reporting that you've shown us there. Also, really pleased to say that you can now report on loyalty email revenue from within your Loyaltyline dashboard too. So highly recommend that you log in and take a look at that as well. Right, that is a lot of great insight into how Loyaltyline and Klaviyo work together. I'm going to jump into a couple of questions that we have from the audience now as well. So, Michael, Jason, whoever feels best placed to answer, please do jump in. First question from Rosie. We have a newsletter database of over 1 million customers in Klaviyo. First of all, congratulations. It's a pretty good number, but a very low percentage have an online account with us. If we launch a loyalty scheme, how would you suggest is the best way to convert these customers to members with online accounts?
I think the immediate thing that springs to mind, and I don't know if Jason agrees, is the post-purchase follow-up email. If we're able to see that customer has not yet created an account so they're not part of the loyalty program, once they've placed that order, we can send follow-up emails to be able to try and convert them to account holders as well. But Jason, I don't know if you want to maybe elaborate a little more on that one.
Yeah. So my head kind of went first with, obviously, that is a big number of people. And we're trying to get as many people as we can out of that 1 million. So if you're, thinking about creating a loyalty program, I guess from the question, it's potentially on the horizon. Also, the fact you're here as well. So thank you. But I'd start, just dropping hints, maybe, some emails, some campaigns to that larger group. Just being like, hey, we've got something cooking. We might potentially come up with a loyalty program. Try and drop the feelers out there. Now, kind of a couple of things that would do is kind of, you've got your 1 million cohort. How many people are opening your emails? So we go down and we kind of see, what numbers are we working with there? And then you go back, when you've kind of done a couple of those campaigns and it comes to your loyalty program launch, then you've got your core group. And we know, right, all of these people, they're engaged. They're open their emails, they're going to the site. That's our number that we aim for. We want to try and get as many of those people into the account, into the loyalty program as possible. And then that's where things like obviously having a really good post-purchase flow come in to get them after the fact. But yeah, that's kind of what I would do, kind of get them down the funnel and then, see where we end up in terms of total numbers.
I think some things that are often overlooked as well is the visibility of your loyalty program on site too. Sometimes you find that the brand puts it way down in the bottom of the footer of the website, essentially. And then it becomes difficult for customers to find that loyalty program. So if it's really, really visible on site and you've really mapped out that journey for your customers as well, that's also going to increase the number of signups and people creating accounts just organically as part of that as well.
Massively. Like if you've got rewards up in the top, I know it's prime real estate, that's going to get people's attention. If you put it down in the footer, that's anybody in the chat who's been onboarded by me, I call that the moan zone, because that's where people are down. You're looking for email support, you're looking for refunds. So it doesn't do well if it's down there. You want to kind of get it at the top.
Amazing. The moan zone, that's fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you both. We actually also have a new blog post on loyaltylion.com from our Loyalty Connect conference, which was how to market your loyalty program. We had a couple of the guys from Success do a session on that. So if you want to check out how to increase visibility of your program, then I recommend heading over to there. Fantastic. Thank you. And we'll all aim for that 1 million mailing list. That's fantastic. Next question from Sarah. I always use loyalty tier is set instead of enroll date is set. Would it be better to change that?
I'll take that one. I personally would go with enroll date. I only say that because when you put it on the help center and stuff, not everybody wants to use tiers or not everyone has access to tiers. So enroll date is like that base piece of information that is always available. Technically, as someone joins the program, there is a small period of time, couple of milliseconds, where they don't have a tier allocated to them as well, but they do have an enroll date. So enroll date comes first. Everyone has it. And it's just a little bit more flexible in there.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Next question. I have to say I'm very interested in this. We spend a lot of time looking at emails, images, clipping, etc. So Lava would like to know, how do you tackle or balance adding several dynamic tokens or dynamic content versus the fact that Gmail clips emails in terms of weight? Is there a challenge there?
It is always a difficult one. When you test your emails and you notice that it's very, very content heavy and they end up getting clipped, Klaviyo is making it slightly easier for customers in that respect because you've got the sort of the test tool now within the campaigns function where you can look at that and see if your email is likely to get clipped. What I would suggest as well is Klaviyo support is a fantastic resource for that too. If you've got any questions around your templates, how they look, if you are experiencing any clipping issues, I would always just flag it with Klaviyo support and they'd be able to jump in and advise on that one as well.
Fantastic. Best way to reach Klaviyo support through within the platform or by email?
So from the top right-hand corner of your account, there's either the live chat option, you've also got email support, or even just our general community as well. So the help center and the public forum where customers come on and discuss all things Klaviyo, really.
Fantastic. And Lexi says Klaviyo support is the best. So, I mean, Jason, I don't know how you feel about that, but...
Klaviyo, no, always get back to me and I ask some strange questions. All good.
Fantastic. So I think, unfortunately, last question we have time for, but Lexi has asked, are there specific reward types that you recommend over others? This will depend on audience, product type, and brand, but any standouts in your experience?
I think just from my side, the discounts tend to be the most flexible in there, and they seem to garner the most attention when you send them in an email. So like in the example that I showed, send them an email being like, hey, you've got $5 off, you're going to get good open rates on that. Now, it does depend on your customers and obviously on what you sell, and kind of you're the expert on that one. But just from everyone on board, all the Klaviyos that I've had a little look at, discounts give you that flexibility, but I appreciate some people are trying to move away from that.
I think it's thinking about your customer segmentation as well. So discounts probably work a lot. They're great for conversion. If you look in abandoned basket flows, abandoned checkout flows, that type of thing. Really great in terms of getting customers to convert just from a general perspective. But what you might also want to think about is those customers who have shopped with you several times before. They love your brand, they're bought into the quality of it, they might like what you stand for as well. Do they necessarily need another discount to get that next sale over the line? So this is where you can also, selfishly on your side, think about your profit margins too. So you could come up with rewards that are far more experiential for those really loyal customers. So that could be the things that I mentioned at the start of the conversation, early access to new products. If you've also got physical stores as well and want to invite them to special events, that type of thing, free tastings if you do that type of product or samples, and then free gifts or samples at certain times of the year as well. Just really incorporating all that stuff in that makes them feel special. So I think you can definitely think about your customer groupings and what sort of discounts can maybe work for each of them.
I completely agree. This is one of my favorite topics, to be honest. And I think as someone progresses through their loyalty journey, what they will look forward to and expect from you changes as well. So Jason, you're absolutely right. They have not been in your loyalty program that long. Yeah, they're probably looking for a discount. But then, Michael, as you say, fast forward a year, they're reaching gold tier. They're looking for something a little bit more, and it's less about money and it's more about engaging with the brand. It's interesting that you mentioned being selfish. I think one of the favorite things I'm seeing at the moment is actually it's a great reward, but it is a little bit selfish, but it's giving customers the opportunity to feedback. So whether that's joining a focus group, being the first person to try a new product and give feedback, I think your most loyal customers are the best people to give you that feedback and to show you how you could be developing your products or improving your products. But it's a great reward for them to feel like they're part of your product journey as well. So I think, that's one of my current favorites.
Yeah, that's very good.
Fantastic. So super helpful responses there. Thank you both. But also thank you to everybody for asking questions. It really does make this session a lot more interactive and special. So we very much appreciate it. Thank you. Now, before we let you two go, I'm going to very quickly pick your brains on two more things. Michael, coming to you. If you had one top tip for utilizing Klaviyo and Loyaltylion together over Black Friday, what would it be?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would call out is Black Friday is obviously the main big event of the year, but never forget that there's an opportunity to capitalize on those customers afterwards as well. So you've put in a lot of hard work with your Black Friday sales, that type of thing. You might be offering additional perks through the loyalty program, but you're going to come into January period, February period, where it might be a lot quieter. Don't forget that those customers have earned loyalty points over Christmas, Black Friday period. That is a great excuse to be contacting them to remind them, hey, your loyalty points are available. You should come back and spend with us during the quieter period of time as well. So loyalty programs can really help drive that revenue when it might be a slightly quieter period of time for the business. But if you leverage it correctly, it can be a really great source of revenue, I would say.
Absolutely. So a loyalty program is for life, not just for Black Friday.
Exactly.
Fantastic. And Jason, last question. Are there any final tips you think are super important when using the Loyaltylion Klaviyo integration?
Yes. So if you have the metric triggers, like the events, you're in the Plus plan or just thinking about upgrading it, try and get as many of them as possible in your flows library. They're so useful. You just set them up once and they just keep bringing in value. So yeah, make sure that I put a doc in the or a document in the chat around all of the metric flows that we recommend. So just make sure we get all of them in there. Leave no stone unturned. There's so much value in there, and you only have to set them up once, and then they just keep running. So like I said before, work smart, not hard.
Very, very good advice. Okay, fantastic. I'm afraid that really is all we have time for. So please join me in saying a huge thank you to Michael and Jason. We really appreciate your time and your expertise. I've learned a huge amount. Hopefully everyone else has too. And thank you also to Hannah for providing support in the chat as well. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. I apologize for the technical hitches, but it was great to see you online, and we will be sharing the recording of this webinar. So if you'd like to revisit any points or share them with your colleagues or just laugh at Klaviyo turning up in French, you'll be able to do that shortly. Otherwise, don't hesitate to reach out to either Klaviyo or Loyaltylion for any additional questions, hints, or tips. You can find all of our speakers on LinkedIn or reach out to either platform via our respective websites. Best of luck setting up all your flows, and do keep your eyes peeled for our next webinar, which will be the ultimate Black Friday to-do list. Registration for that will be opening very soon. Bye for now, and we hope to see you online again soon.